All right, James Wesley, Ari Tepkin, great to have you with us today and every day here on your home for the Big 12 Tune-In and Big 12 Studios. Of course, we are live each and every weekday morning from 7 to 10 a.m. and 8 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And each and every Monday, especially during college football season, we put a minute on the clock and get through each and every one of these Big 12 football games. There were 7 to recap in week 10. So without further ado, James, let's get to these games. Taman Turner is our producer. Taman, take us through.
All right, guys, let's start off with Oklahoma State at Ari's Kansas Jayhawks.
Yeah, I mean, this game was about the middle 8 for Kansas and for a change, a huge positive, the middle 8 for Kansas. But this game was close early. Oklahoma State scored a touchdown, got on top, was up 7-0. Kansas was up just 10-7 at halftime. They had blocked a field goal. Oklahoma State had already missed a field goal in this one. So it was just a bizarre first half, and then back-to-back touchdown drives in the second half allows Kansas to take that commanding 24-10 lead, and it was an avalanche in the second half for Kansas's offense, especially their rush offense. 232 rush yards for Daniel Highshaw and LeSean Williams. 15 straight Big 12 losses now, James, for Oklahoma State.
Well, I got to say, Kansas needs to dump the red tops, blue bottoms combo.
Okay.
I am not a fan. Very contrasting. Let's get that out of the jersey rotation because they've got so many sweet looks.
Yeah.
But then leading up to this game, a buddy of mine called he had inside information that was confidential, that Zane Flores was back for Oklahoma State, and he was going to start in this game. And I thought, it's not going to matter. Kansas did get off to kind of a slow start. This game was closer than I thought it would be for a while.
Yeah.
But once they flexed their muscles, like the rushing yards, all you got to look at, 232 to 72. Oklahoma State averaged 2.3 yards per carry. KU could have won this game by 40.
All right, this was a shocker. West Virginia at Houston.
Yeah, this was the big shocker of the weekend. We talked last week about West Virginia being able to win out. They had the most favorable schedule, and they lose at home to Houston. They lose at home to West Virginia, I should say. This game was about the turnover battle. West Virginia turned over Houston 4 times and had scored 17 points off takeaways, including a pick 6. Houston had 4 total turnovers on the season coming into the day, and they turned the ball over 4 times in this one. And Scotty Fox, man, it looks like West Virginia may actually have a QB1 coming out of this game.
Yeah, and remember, he played in the Pitt game in the non-conference and looked terrible. I think he had 2 or 3 turnovers and limited snaps.
Yeah.
Total opposite. Houston went with the blackout theme. They had the black uniforms. They even painted the end zones black, but a light crowd, and they really didn't show up. This told me all I need to know about Houston, which I was really riding the Cougars, so it's unfortunate for them. But Scotty Fox, man, accounted for 3 touchdowns. Connor Wegman also had turnover issues for the first time this year. A killer turnover on a third and something near the end of the third quarter. He threw an interception that was a pick 6, returned 80 yards for a touchdown, swung it from what could have been a tied game if Houston had scored into 2 possessions once again, and that was it.
UCF at Dave Aranda's Baylor Bears.
Yeah, how about this one? Who saw this one coming?
Not me.
Baylor's defense holds UCF to just 3 points. And this was the Caden Knighton show. Knighton, 21 carries, 104 yards. Sawyer Robertson threw 3 touchdowns, had 267 yards. Sawyer Robertson's 267 outpaced UCF 225 total yards in this game. And Baylor's defense held UCF scoreless 10 out of 11 drives into just 3 points. It's the fewest Baylor had allowed in against a conference foe since 2006, and it had been a long time since UCF had not scored a touchdown in a game, James.
Yeah, and Baylor, they have a game like this back-to-back seasons. Last year, they were limping into that road game at Texas Tech, and they balled out. This reminded me of that. And remember, that sparked a 6-game winning streak. They're now 5-4. There's still a lot of season left. Where has the Baylor defense been? I mean, because they showed up, limiting UCF to 225. They held them to 74 yards on the ground, and Baylor held UCF to 1 for 14 on 3rd and 4th downs. That had been Baylor's Achilles heel. Their defense hadn't been able to get off the field. Total domination on that side of the ball.
All right, Arizona at Colorado.
It's a rough 2-game stretch here for the Colorado Buffaloes. Noah Fafita ate them alive in this one. Arizona snaps a 5-game road losing streak. Colorado turned it over 5 times and was flagged 14 times. This game started off with a huge touchdown by Trey Spivey, and Arizona was off to the races. Wildcats up 17-0 inside the first 12 plays, led 38-7 at half, and then closed it out with those 5 takeaways and a 204-129 rushing edge. Arizona kind of did whatever they wanted to do against the Colorado defense that's given up 50-plus points in 2 straight games now.
I think Colorado's been outscored like 96-24 their last 2 games. There's big problems in Boulder. Noah Fafita, 4 touchdowns by halftime. Like, Arizona was dominating. They forced 5 turnovers, which I think you noted. There was a Colorado turnover that was taken 59 yards to set up a rushing touchdown. That was a huge turning point, just kind of accelerating the Colorado collapse. But this game was over, like I said, by halftime, and did not see this one coming. Arizona just dominating like that on the road. They were only favored by 3.5.
Yeah, Colorado has been outscored in the last 2 games, 105-24.
There it is, 105-24.
Arizona State at Iowa State.
Well, how about Jeff Sims? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Jeff Sims Show. I will eat my crow. I didn't believe in him at all, but he ran wild in this one. Jeff Sims setting Arizona State quarterback rushing record, 228 yards, 405 yards total, and 3 touchdowns. That's between throwing and rushing. Yeah, I mean, what else can you say? Also, Kyle Conradi for Iowa State was 2 of 4 kicking. Ouch. 4 straight losses now for Iowa State. Pretty wild turn of events, and their defense is completely falling apart. And this one was, yeah, they couldn't do anything to stop Jeff Sims.
Yeah, and Sims he's a great story. Like, he started his career at Georgia Tech, started some games, and he transfers to Nebraska, gets a couple of starts there. He's a run-first quarterback. And Arizona State, now that he's going to be a huge part of the rest of the season, they leaned on his strengths, which is him as a runner. 29 carries for 228 rushing yards, an Arizona State quarterback record. And then Mateer, the tight end for Arizona State, 68 yards and a touchdown. An 88-yard touchdown run by Sims that you're watching now on Big 12 Studios in the third quarter just completely broke the game open. Scary injury to Ben Bramer. He's been released from the hospital. That's a good thing, but that was a really scary moment late in the game for the Iowa State tight end, one of the best in the league.
The inaugural anniversary of Texas Tech at James's Kansas State Wildcats.
Pass.
Yeah, this was a game of turnovers. 7 turnovers combined, 5 on the side of Kansas State. Tech scored 28 points off of the 5 Kansas State turnovers. Plus, K-State went 0 for 4 on fourth down. We said turnovers would decide this game, and it most certainly did. This game was 29-20 with under 5 to play, and Romello Heights strip-sacked Avery Johnson. Scoop and score by Tech made it 36-20. And then 4 plays later, Avery throws a pick 6 to make it 43-20. So this game was close, but in the end, it was the turnovers that just did K-State in.
Yeah, it was close for a while, and it just felt like Kansas State was trying to keep up with Texas Tech, but it never really felt like to me that Kansas State was in a position to win this game, especially in the second half. Avery Johnson was scrambling for his life, and he just looked gassed. I mean, completely exhausted. He is sucking air between each and every play. And then Kansas State had a critical 4th down after they had got a turnover on defense, a takeaway. They've got the ball around midfield. They go 4 wide, and they put their tight end, Garrett Oakley, in the slot, and he's one-on-one with a linebacker. I just felt like he had the ball in his hands and he had it wrenched loose. I felt like that's not the guy you want to go to in that situation. He's not a pass-catching tight end. He's a better blocker. I felt like Kansas State should have somebody quicker and shiftier in the slot, and maybe they just don't have that they feel comfortable with on their roster putting out there on a play like that. But that was a huge turning point.
Final one, guys, the primetime game, Cincinnati at Utah.
Yeah, third quarter dominance by Utah put this one on ice. It was 24-7 at half, and it was as close as 24-14 when Sorsby hit Cyrus Allen for an 88-yard touchdown pass. But Utah answered with a body blow and then a haymaker and a 75-yard punt return for touchdown by Carvalho. Utah closed 21-7. It was the most complete game we've seen from Utah and from Devin Dampier, James.
Yeah, statement game in my eyes from Utah. The rushing attack, Devin Dampier looked really good. He looked in control, 213 yards passing, a couple of touchdowns, 78 yards on the ground. That's a very Devin Dampier stat line. They don't need him to throw for 300. They don't need him to rush for $150. Ryan Davis had 132 yards receiving. He's starting to emerge as
A downfield threat, yep.
Wide receiver number 1 for them, but their opening drive, they went 94 yards. Even though Cincinnati had it tied 7-all, it just felt like Utah had set the tone. And 267 yards on the ground. 3 of their touchdowns came on the ground. They piled up almost 500 yards of total offense. And we'll touch on this later, but I think Utah is very much back in the conversation and a player when it comes to the Big 12 championship and maybe the college football playoff.
That's James Westling. I'm Ari Temkin. This is Big 12 Radio on TuneIn and on Big 12 Studios. On the way next, let's get into the big picture takeaways for Week 10, including what I thought was a big separate the men from the boys week in the Big 12. We're brought to you by Modelo on this Modelo Monday. This is Big 12 Today with James Westling. I'm Ari Temkin, Tame Turner producing on TuneIn and Big 12 Studios.